For nearly half a century, the United States has quietly held a secret weapon more powerful than any army: oil priced in dollars. This system, known as the petrodollar, has allowed the U.S. to control global trade, finance its debt effortlessly, and exert unmatched geopolitical influence. But now, the tides are shifting. A silent revolution is unfolding. China, Russia, and major oil powers are beginning to break free from the dollar's grip. Deals are being made in yuan, rubles, and other currencies. BRICS nations are planning a new monetary alliance. Even longtime U.S. allies are questioning the old order. Is this the beginning of the end for the petrodollar? And if it collapses, what happens to America's dominance on the world stage? Buckle up, because the answers may reshape the global economy forever. The birth of the petrodollar. To understand the magnitude of this shift, we must first revisit how the petrodollar came into existence. In the 1970s, after the collapse of the Bretton Woods system, the United States struck a pivotal agreement with Saudi Arabia. In exchange for military protection and political support, Saudi Arabia agreed to price its oil exports exclusively in US dollars. This arrangement was later adopted by other OPEC nations. The result? Any country wanting to purchase oil had to first acquire dollars. This created a constant global demand for the US currency, allowing the United States to run large deficits, borrow cheaply, and exert enormous influence over international financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank. The foundation cracks. The rise of de-dollarization. But the petrodollar's dominance is no longer guaranteed. Over the past decade, an increasing number of nations have started exploring alternatives to the dollar. The motivations vary: sanctions, geopolitical rivalry, and a desire for greater financial independence. Russia, for example, has significantly reduced its dollar holdings and turned to local currencies in its trade with China and other partners. After facing sweeping Western sanctions following the annexation of Crimea and later the invasion of Ukraine, Moscow accelerated efforts to de-dollarize its economy. China, the world's second-largest economy and largest oil importer, has been quietly working to internationalize the yuan. The establishment of yuan-denominated oil futures on the Shanghai International Energy Exchange in 2018 was a major step. Though initially slow to gain traction, these contracts have started to attract attention, particularly from countries facing Western sanctions or looking to hedge against dollar volatility. The BRICS Challenge. Enter the BRICS alliance. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, a bloc that now represents over 40% of the global population and nearly a third of global GDP. What started as an economic dialogue has transformed into a political and financial counterweight to Western institutions. Recently, BRICS countries have openly discussed the creation of a new common currency, specifically designed to challenge the dollar's global role. At their summits, leaders have voiced strong support for using local currencies in intra-bloc trade. Russia and China have already taken tangible steps, with oil and gas deals now being priced in yuan and rubles. Saudi Arabia's increasing engagement with BRICS and its willingness to price oil in non-dollar currencies has sent shockwaves through financial markets. While the full-scale adoption of BRICS currency is still theoretical, the momentum toward a multipolar monetary system is growing stronger. The Saudi shift, a tectonic change. No single move threatens the petrodollar more than Saudi Arabia's recent openness to pricing oil and other currencies. Long the linchpin of the dollar-based oil trade, Riyadh has begun entertaining deals in yuan, particularly with China, its largest trading partner. This shift is not just economic, it's strategic. Saudi Arabia is diversifying its alliances, drawing closer to China, which has become a vital investor in its Vision 2030 economic transformation plan. In recent years, high-level visits and energy agreements between the two countries have signaled a deepening relationship. While Riyadh hasn't entirely abandoned the dollar, its willingness to consider other options marks a major break from decades of tradition. If more OPEC members follow suit, the petrodollar could become a relic of the past. Implications for the U.S. economy. A collapse of the petrodollar system would have far-reaching consequences for the U.S. economy. The dollar's reserve status allows the U.S. to borrow at low interest rates, maintain large trade deficits, and finance its military and social programs with relative ease. Without global demand for dollars, interest rates could spike, inflation could rise, and the U.S. government might face serious constraints on its fiscal policy. the dollar would likely depreciate, reducing the purchasing power of American consumers and increasing the cost of imports. Moreover, the financial sector, heavily reliant on the dollar-based global system, could face disruptions. The supremacy of Wall Street, long bolstered by the petrodollar, might wane in favor of emerging financial hubs aligned with BRICS or other regional powers. A new global order. It's important to note that the petrodollar system isn't just about economics. It's about geopolitics. The dollar has been a tool of American influence, used to impose sanctions, control capital flows, and shape global trade rules. As countries seek to reduce their exposure to U.S. financial systems, we could witness the birth of a fragmented monetary world. This doesn't mean the dollar will disappear. It will remain a dominant currency for the foreseeable future. But its uncontested reign is clearly ending. Multiple currencies may emerge to share the global stage: the euro, the yuan, a BRICS currency, and even digital currencies. Digital disruption. The role of CBDCs and cryptocurrencies. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are also playing a role in this transformation. China's digital yuan is already being used in cross-border trade, offering a glimpse into a future where payments bypass traditional banking channels. Other countries, including India and Russia, are experimenting with CBDCs to facilitate trade and reduce reliance on the SWIFT system, which is heavily influenced by Western powers. As more countries roll out digital alternatives, the infrastructure supporting dollar supremacy could be gradually eroded. Cryptocurrencies, though volatile, add another layer of disruption. While they are unlikely to replace national currencies anytime soon, their decentralized nature appeals to countries and entities seeking financial autonomy. A tipping point in history. The petrodollar system has underpinned U.S. global dominance for nearly half a century. But change is underway. As countries explore alternative financial systems and geopolitical alliances evolve, the world may be entering a new era, one where the dollar is no longer king. This shift won't happen overnight, but the signs are clear. The foundations of the dollar-dominated order are cracking. Whether it leads to a more balanced world or greater instability depends on how global powers manage the transition. One thing is certain: the collapse of the petrodollar, if it comes, will be one of the most consequential economic shifts of the 21st century. If you found this breakdown insightful, consider subscribing for more deep dives into global finance, power shifts, and the hidden forces shaping our world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the dollar's dominance is truly ending? Or will it find a way to adapt and survive? Thanks for watching.